Good morning. Welcome to Cooper's Cogitations, episode number 55. We're going to talk about the law of covetousness. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Lowell Webster's 1828 Dictionary of the American Dictionary of the English Language has covet, to desire or wish with eagerness in a good sense. So covet goes both ways. You can have a good covet or a bad covet. 1 Corinthians 12:31. But covet earnestly the best gifts, and yet I show you a more excellent way. Now, Webster also writes to desire inordinately, desire that which is unlawful to obtain. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, wife, manservant, maidservant, ox, ass, or anything that's your neighbor's. That's an individual thing. Don't covet. And it focuses on the inordinate desire, not the good section, the bad section. Now, what we know is that individuals run the government. Individuals are our rulers. We also know that the law reflects the religion of the ruler. If the ruler covets, then the legal system, I won't grace it and call it the lawful system, the legal system will have institutionalized covetousness. They have more than me, the rich versus the poor, the blacks versus the whites, the men versus women, gender confused versus everyone. You see what the deal is? The institutionalization of covetousness. Covetousness always starts with a violation of the first commandment. First commandments: have no other God before me. If I have no other God before me, I won't covet inordinately. However, if I put money, position, power, sex, clothes, car, degree, status, something ahead in this instance, then I can begin to covet. And invariably, maybe not individually, but institutionally, you always violate the commandment, thou shalt not bear false witness. We're going to do this to take care of the poor. We're going to have a war on poverty. And what they do is they covet other people's property. And next thing you know, you have 6 generations on welfare. 6 generations of individuals have their character has been destroyed. They're parasites by the government. Let's proceed a little further. When it does this, it divorces itself from reality, the individuals and the government. Divorces itself from reality, embrace of fantasy. An example, Rush Uni. The law requires payment of debts. Failure to pay is a form of theft as well as a perjury. You said you would and you didn't. False witness. The lender does need protection from business owners because many people are deadbeats and all too ready to defraud their creditors. Okay, you have to protect those people who have the money. However, contracts are now usually dishonest because of the many clauses which, while designed to protect against defrauders, become tools to defraud the unwise and ignorant. It's the fine print. How many of you read the fine print? You're on YouTube. Fine print? Probably not. Take a loan out. Fine print? Probably not. Or you don't understand it if you do read it. The fine print of contracts today include such things as waiver of defenses. I've read that. Contingency liability, written notification, confession of judgment, liability waivers, pre-existing health condition clauses, all of which penalize the individual as against the company. They're protecting themselves, and in the process of protecting themselves, they're taking your rights. In a world of limited liability, many of these contracts reintroduce an illegitimate form of unlimited liability. The Christian must favor unlimited liability, but not on this one-sided way. Both parties to a contract should be governed by its conditions, and you have to read the contract. We used to have a business, family business, and I was doing some contracts with internationally. And when I got around to reading the contract I was going to do with China, I didn't do business with China. I didn't like the contract, so I didn't do business with China. The business of courts increasingly is the business of the state and of powerful creditors and other interests against helpless and foolish people, because you need a lawyer. You can't do anything without a lawyer. That's our society. When under pressure, the state bans one form of extortion by statute, it leaves loopholes in several others. You can't cover everything. There are things that when people read the legislation, they come up with new ideas. That's what people do. We come up with ideas. Legal reforms of a couple of generations designed to protect the small American, the little people, have only left such persons more vulnerable. The federal government has paved the way for easier credit and more exploitation. The federal government had boasted of making houses more affordable. It was a 30 to 35-year contract. This 30 to 35-year contract led to shoddy construction, mass construction. I call it ghetto construction, where you go into this community and it's the same house, acre upon acre. Please build the same 4 houses all over. Shoddy construction, shoddy design, and a multitude of frauds and a deeply rooted exploitation of the people. 30-year contract. Wow. So this institutionalization of covetousness is formidable. It's deep, it's ingrained, it's legal, it's institutionalized. We don't even know it. It's just there. It's almost as though our eye is full of darkness. Our eye is evil. All we see is darkness. It's interwoven, interlocked, homogenized. You can't separate it. Often we find ourselves wanting another's possession, status, wealth, reputation, callings, looks, or ability. Contemplation interferes with our peace of mind and productive creativity. Continuance of this attitude will lead to a violation of other laws and an institutionalization as well. It's in you, no one else is hurt relatively. When it spills over, it becomes institutionalized. The only way for a society to live and not die is to adhere to God's law. God is truth, God is reality. We either keep his laws and we embrace truth, we embrace reality, or we live a lie and a fantasy. Our next episodes, we'll start talking about the Declaration of Independence and hopefully correlate some of that with the scriptures. Thank you very much.